I just wanted to do a session today that focused on some of the fundamentals of our Pilates and really zero in on a few of the core exercises that we do all along and make sure that you guys feel comfortable and confident executing the exercises properly and tuned into activating the correct muscles. So it's going to look a little different again today in that we're not going to go through like a full mat routine, but we're going to, again, zero in on a few core moves to our foundational work and see if we can't really zone in on the correct muscle groups, the proper technique, and the breathing to go along with it. So let's start today with our breathing. You'll have a little bit more of a up close view so that you guys can see and feel what we're working on. I want you to let yourself hug your knees, let your head go in between your knees, and this is to try and open up the back of your rib cage. And what I'm seeing quite often now in the studio is a lot of people breathing up through the front of their rib cage. We call them upper chest breathers, or a lot of belly breathing. And what I'd like to try and help you to do is learn how to breathe through your rib cage. We call this lateral costal breathing, meaning out the sides and through the back of your rib cage. It's a more effective, efficient way to breathe. You get better oxygenation to your lungs, and it creates greater focus and relaxation through the muscle groups. So I teach it typically here in this hugging knees position. You could also lay yourself on top of a ball so that you would be in a position here. The ball would be up underneath you and you'd come on over the top of the ball and allow your rib cage to open up back that way. So to start with, let's begin here with your knees in front of your chest. The best that you can grab a hold of your knees. And by doing that, you're going to allow your head to sink down. You're going to open up through the back of the rib cage, and you're sort of blocking out both your stomach and your chest with your knees and your legs so that you are unable to really expand and come in through the front, but creating a facilitation out through here. So let your head hang down. Give yourself that chance to just sort of sink into the ground. And I want you guys to feel yourself as if my hands were back here on your rib cage, giving you a little pressure through there. Try and expand those rib cages three-dimensionally so that they open up and go wide to the side with your inhale. And then they draw back down and in towards your spine and your waistline with your exhale. So it's in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just make these breaths sort of measured, that you're not necessarily taking in the biggest inhale like you're about to go underwater for 2 minutes. You're actually just trying to draw a steady flow of air in through your nose and a matching steady flow of air out through your mouth. So if you're having a hard time feeling it here, you can also, like I said, try and go ahead over the top of a ball, or you can go into your shell stretch position, bring your knees right up underneath you, reach your fingertips out in front of you so that your weight is back into your heels. And again, you can see the roundness of my spine. My thighs are blocking out my chest and my stomach. My head can rest down onto the floor. And again, really the only place your air has to go is out through your rib cages. When you're here. Excellent. So from here, I want you to go ahead and lay down on the floor. And so we're going to let ourselves lay flat here. And what you're going to try and find is that your feet line up with your sit bones in your bottom. So if you go and touch your behind and you feel those bony prominences, I want you to line up your heels with your sit bones. You're going to take the heel of your hands and set it on your hips here so that the heel of the hand sits on those hip bones and your fingertips point in towards your pubic bone. And what you want to find is that your hands sit flat on your pelvis and there's a little bit of space in your low back here. So if you're finding in this situation where my fingertips are sitting higher than the heels of my hands, I need to rock my hips forward and create a little bit of daylight in my low back so my hands sit flat. Now sometimes you may have so much daylight that now your hands have gone high at the heels and low at the fingertips, and then you have to rock back a little bit. So you're going to rock through your low back. You're going to feel your pelvis tip forward and back until you find that nice flat position of your hands on your pelvis. Now, some people might be a little tighter into one extreme of tip forward or tip back. So don't force something that feels really uncomfortable. If your fingertips are still a little high or low relative to the heel of your hands, go with what your body will give you to start, and then we'll work from there. So from that point forward, I'm just going to back up a little bit. From that point forward, this is what we call neutral spine, okay? And we are going to work between neutral and imprint. So we start neutral, our rib cage melts to the floor, your head and eyes are straight up at the ceiling. And what I want you to do from here is find the bottom angle of your rib cage. Just sort of touch through your abdomen, find the bottom angle of your rib cage, okay? And what I would like you to think about when we go from neutral to our imprint is that the bottom of this rib angle is going to slide down towards your hips so that this distance right here between rib and hip, as the ribs slide down, the distance between your fingers gets smaller, and then when you release out, the fingers, hips come away from each other. So you rock to imprint, you slide your ribs down, so the effort comes from the front body as opposed to just pushing your low back to the floor. And then we release out again. So fundamentally, ribs to hips, slide them down, release them out. And you may feel like, what does that mean to slide your ribs down? It's as if you had a set of suspenders and you were going to pull the suspenders tighter so that these 2 points come together, and then you release them back out and come together and out. And let's go for 4 and 3. Good. 2 and 1. Now from here, we're going to bring your feet up into the air. So when we bring feet up, you're going to slide rib to hip, imprint, and then bring up the other leg. So anytime we are up in this tabletop position, tabletop meaning 90 at your hips and 90 at your knees, your shins sit parallel to the floor, and you have a gentle point to your toes. So you're not pulled up and you're not totally pressed away. It's just a soft point. You're going to have yourself imprinted here. And so this rib to hip connection is already engaged. And then when we go into doing our 100, which we're going to start right now, I want you to either maintain this, or you're even going to slide the ribs even lower down towards the hips, nod your chin, which is chin to neck, lower your eye line, come up and reach, okay? So if your head is up, it's because this connection through here, and then we're going to reach our fingertips, hold our tabletop, and dribble. And you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 20 abs, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 30. Keep going. And out, 2, 3, 4, 40. Squeeze your inner thighs. Bring those knees together. And out, 2, 3, 4, 50. Pull your belly button in. And out, 2, 3, 4, 60. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. And out, 2, 3, 4, 70. Shorten those suspenders. And out, 2, 3, 4, 80. Keep that knotted chin. And out, 2, 3, 4, 90. Last 10. And out, 2, 3, 4, 100. Let your head down. Bring your knees into your chest. Set one foot down at a time to slowly and carefully find your way back to neutral. And then go ahead from here. We're going to roll over, okay? So now we're going to work a little bit on our extension. So extension is important because we want our spine to move in all 6 directions. You want it to bend forward like we did with the 100. And now we're going to bend it back in extension. We'll go side to side and we're going to rotate. So another key move here is keeping ourselves on our mat, nice and flat. Hands go to the side of the mat. You're going to tuck in your chin and reach your legs long. And then I want you to go ahead and lift up just to that bottom rib angle that we felt. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and come back down. And lift it up and down and up and down. Good. So you're only coming through your mid-back. Your hip bones are pushed into the floor. Your head stays on your spine. You come up to your bottom rib and back down. And let's go 3 and 2 and 1. Excellent. Now you're going to take yourself from here because anytime we do something into extension, we want to do something into flexion. So you're going to bring yourself back into that shell stretch we started with when you were working on your breathing. And reach your fingertips way out in front of you. And now we're going to open up the side body. So from here, you're going to keep your body still, but you're going to sink your hips off to the left and reach your arm, especially that left arm, up over your head to the right. So now we have all this opening happening on this side body. So hips sink left, arm reaches out overhead to the right. We take a few breaths here, and you should feel this along the side of your rib cage, into your lats, and probably even up into your underarm. You're going to walk your hands to center, and now you're going to sink your weight into your right side of your hips and reach your right arm over to the left. So now we're opening up this side of our body. Good. So hip is off to the right. Both hands are reaching off to the left. Your right arm is almost like in the shape of a parenthesis. Very good. You'll come back to center. We're going to come up to hands and knees here. So when we're up here, even though my sweatshirt's hanging down, I want my belly button to stay lifted, okay? And we're going to do our cat-cows. When we do our cat, everything starts from our sit bones, okay? So you're going to pull your sits up underneath you, draw your belly button into the center of your stomach, separate your shoulder blades, and let your head hang down. And then you're going to start with your sits. Send them up behind you. Lengthen your spine. Bring your shoulder blades back together and bring your head up onto your spine again. So it's not way up here. Your eye line is down here at your fingertips. So we scoop round and then send it out. Good. And it's all happening from tail to head and tail to head. So your head comes down last, looks through your thighs. Your sit bones lengthen, shoulder blades draw down together, chest wall, you tuck in your chin, and look at your hands. So we scoop around, and then we lengthen out. And let's go 3, and 2, and 1. Perfect. Let's come around and let's go on to our side here. So we're going to work on the one where our feet are stacked. I'm going to see if I back up a little bit. You can see me even better. My head is on the floor, my arms are stacked, and we're going to keep a really good stack of our hips here. So it's going to be as if I had my back on the wall. You're going to reach up and look at your hand, and then you're going to rotate and open here. But you're going to avoid rotating through your hips, okay? They stay stacked. So you're going to rotate through your rib cage and your upper body. And when you come up and over, I want you to reach out in front of your bottom arm. So you're going to reach out to here. You're going to open and look to your hand, and then you're going to reach out above your hand. So every time you come around from your rotation, so you're up and open and up, now reach out low. So it's as if there was a clock out here, and we're going to reach, if this is 9 o'clock with my hands stacked, you're going to come around and reach to 11. And then you're going to reach to 9. And then you're going to reach down to 7. So we up and open and reach. Come in front of that 9 o'clock hand. And up and open and reach. And come in front up at 11 o'clock. One more time. It's up and open. Come up and reach in front of 7 o'clock. And then you're going to go ahead and change sides. And so we're going to get some good rotation through our spine because like we mentioned before, it's up and open. I'm a little tight in here today. Look back at your hand. Come up. Now when I go to reach, I'm going to reach in front of my left hand. Okay, I reach out a little bit so that my shoulder blade comes across my chest wall. And then I come looking at my hand to come around, hips are stacked, reach. Now when I come in front of my hand, I reach higher up to 11 o'clock. I come up and open and up, come around and reach to, it wasn't 11 o'clock, sorry, messed it up. Now we're down at 4 o'clock. Perfect. So the point being is that you're keeping these hips stacked, you're rotating through the rib cage. We reach, and when you come around, whatever point on the clock, whether you're high, medium, or low, give it a little extra reach through your fingertips and feel your shoulder blade move on your chest wall. And that's going to focus that rotation through our mid-back. Excellent. All right, so here we go. We've had some flexion, we've had some extension, we've rotated. When we get to our mermaid here, we're gonna side sweep our legs. Okay, you're gonna sit up nice and tall. The key to this is that even though this hand's gonna come up and we're gonna bend over here to the side, I want you to keep this cheek as close to the floor as possible. So we reach, you have to come up straight and bring your hand down. And then come up straight to the opposite side and come over. So it's up and hand to side. Again, as you come over, you don't want to let this sort of thing happen where your behind's leaving the floor. Even if you're a little bit up off the floor, which I am right now, when I go to reach over, pin your hip down, push down into it as you reach away from it. And now you're going to get true opening along the side here and true side bending and reach and come up. One more time. Come on up and come on over. And up and down. Now let's change out our feet because it's different from hip to hip. And so now we're side swept here. When I go onto this side, I can feel that I'm a little higher in my hip here. So I'm still gonna really work on sinking into this hip to the floor as I go up with my left arm and over to the right. I'm not lifting. I'm staying pinned in my hip and I'm side bending over to reach. We come up, grab your shin, come on up, and over to the opposite side. Opening up again through the side body. Really reach your fingertips here so that you get stretching from your fingertips all the way down to your hip. Because we have lines of muscle that are all interwoven through fascia. And so if you have restrictions somewhere down here, you may have symptoms or issues in your hand, and it may not necessarily be that you have a problem with your hand. It could be coming from your hip, rib cage, but it's manifesting itself up into your hand. And come on over. And come on up. And come on back down. Okay, so those are a few hallmark things. We've worked on our imprint and release and finding neutral spine. We worked on the cat-cow, the hip sinks from side to side. You learned how to nod your chin. So real quick, a lot of times we do the chin nod while we're laying down, and it's a great place to practice it because your head is supported. But I will often teach people, especially if you're at your computer a lot or driving, or you're just seated, or our life is forward on our phone, you're gonna start to tighten up across your chest. You may notice, get a lot of tension up into your shoulders from sort of holding yourself in one position. So the head nod is nice, and it is great to do while you're laying down, but you could also do it at your desk or when you're driving. And all that you need to think about is, if I say my eye line is on the horizon, it's like I'm looking straight out, okay? And in order to get my head nod when I'm here, I'm just gonna drop my eye line 2 inches, and I'll say, I nod. I'm gonna give you a side view when I do this. When I drop my eye line 2 inches, I'm going to feel my chin nod in towards my neck. And there's a lengthening that's happening back here. And then I come back out again. So if you watch where my chin goes, and you can see, well, it's hard to see my hand there. You can see it over here, right at the base of my ponytail, that when my eye line lowers 2 inches, my chin comes in towards my neck or chest. And I elongate back here right at the base of my head. So we nod and release. And nod. Lift your eye line 2 inches. Drop it and feel your chin. And if you feel any tension around your jawline or neck, stick the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth when you do this. Good. So you could set up the mirror in your car. So you could actually practice this if you have your eyes able to see the mirror right here. You can practice your head nod, and then obviously you don't do this when you're driving, but you can practice the head nod and see yourself in the mirror, whether your head is nodded or back at the horizon. And so it doesn't have to be something that you take time out of your day to do. It could be something that you can integrate into your computer time or your driving time. So the head nod is just equally important as our neutral to imprint to neutral work. We're elongating back here, okay, right where we get a lot of tension from our forward head posture. The more you practice those head nods, the more likely your head is going to sit over your shoulders. So we talk about our building blocks: top block, head, okay, middle block, rib cage, bottom block pelvis. All right, so if I were to be sitting here with my head out here, it's gonna put a lot of stress and tension on the base of my neck here because my head is sitting in front of my rib cage and my hips, those other two building blocks. But when I nod in, you see that we get better alignment between your shoulders, your ribs, and your hips. Okay, so those are sort of foundational things, the breathing, the imprint and release. We've worked on ribs, sliding, and releasing, okay? We've worked a little bit on the different motions that you can create through your spine, bending forward with our 100, bending back on our stomach, doing our side bending through our mermaid, and then our rotating and reaching out to different directions on our clock. We went up to our head and we nodded our chin to release. So pretty much anything from here when you go into our classes is going to be a function of putting 1, 2, or 3 of these things together, okay? Let me show you for example. So when we go to working on, again, let's say we're gonna do something with our feet up in the air. So 1 foot comes up, all right? You imprint, so we just slid our ribs to our hips. We feel our low back touching the floor now, all right? We're in this imprint, working our abs, we bring the other foot up. When we go to do our single leg stretch here, or our bicycle or our obliques, when I go to come up, I nod my chin. So we got our chin nod in. So we have imprint and chin nod going. And then when I come up, I come up through my abdominals. So I come up here. So 2 elements. We have our imprint and we have our chin nod. And then we go on to doing our single leg stretch or bicycle, okay? And in actuality, we're just putting some choreography here by moving our legs in and out and reaching and stretching. But what are we really working? We're working our abdominals in our imprint, and we're working our chin nod so that we're not creating tension on our neck when we do this. And if you feel like you are, you can always put your hands back, but we're working our neck stabilizers to hold us here. Same with this. We're just adding choreography to our head nod and our imprint. So those are the things you're thinking about. The choreography is the secondary stuff. Even here, we put our hands here. You keep your chin knotted. You deepen your imprint if you need to. We reach and come around. We reach and come around. Your eye line stays between your knees, and the reason why I cue that is it keeps your chin knotted. We reach and come through. And let's go 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last but not least, we go to our scissors. Still knotted chin, still imprinted. We're just adding a little bit of choreography and stretching our hamstrings. So you take your time, focus on those 2 key elements, imprint and head nod, that we learn in our warm-up every day, and superimpose movement, and stretch, and length and energy. One more. We come to our center, let your head down. Excellent. Okay, so let's real quick talk about 1 foot at a time to the floor. We're back in neutral, okay? And I've showed you guys, you find your hip bones, those bony prominences in the front of your body. If you put your fingers just inside of them, there's a soft area, okay? So we're going in, when I say inward, if you take the bony prominences with your fingertips and just put your hands inside of them, meaning towards your belly button, it should be soft right here. And then I want you to squeeze the muscles or firm up or lift the muscles that you would engage if you drank a ton of water and you need it to hold going to the bathroom. You're waiting in a line, and you need to hold going to the bathroom while you wait. And you gotta go, okay? So you're lifting, and you're not like you wouldn't suck your stomach in or push your back to the floor. So there's no movement here, okay? You're not gonna see your back flatten. You're not gonna see your cheeks squeeze in. You're going to feel yourself engage muscles right in this fleshy area, and they're gonna firm up right under your fingertips, okay? And you're gonna hold those for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. And if they fizzled on you when you went along, grab a hold again of those muscles that you use to stop yourself from going to the bathroom and lift up. Lift those muscles so nothing comes out. And when you feel that tension under your fingertips, those are the deepest stabilizing muscles for your low back. It's called your Transversus Abdominis. And when I cue in Pilates to lift your pelvic floor, this is what we're talking about. So when we breathe and exhale, put your fingers there and give a good strong in through your nose. That's when you lift your pelvic floor. You'll feel tension under your fingertips. A nice strong exhale through your mouth, you're going to lift your pelvic floor. You can't help not doing it. So you're going to start practicing this concept of holding and breathing and feeling your pelvic floor engage right under your fingertips in this soft fleshy part just inside of your hip bones. And I want you to count it for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a break. Nothing changed in your body. This is the key piece to building strength from the fourth layer, 4, of your abdominals. There's 4 layers. This is the most, the deepest layer. Just above that are your obliques, both your internal and your external obliques. And then above that is called your rectus abdominis, and that's your 6-pack. But actually, as far as stabilizing your spine and making your core, when people come and say, I want to build my core, or I've had an injury, I need a stronger core, or I can't do the things I like because I have no core strength, you're not looking to engage those 6-pack muscles. They'll come along for the ride. It's the deep stuff. That's why it's called core. And so we want to get to your pelvic floor. And there's people who can look as strong as can be, but if they can't find their pelvic floor, they sort of struggle with injury after injury or setbacks or just being unable to do stuff they want to do because they can't find their pelvic floor. So you can simply start even by being aware of your control when you do go to the bathroom. Can you stop yourself in the midst of going to the bathroom? Can you slow things down or put a halt to it? I know it sounds a little crazy, but it's an exercise. And then practicing in neutral, finding your hip bones, putting your fingertips right inside of them, and feeling the soft, fleshy material under your fingers firm up as you hold and lift your internal zipper. Okay, think about where your zipper in your jeans would be. Zip up your internal zipper, and there'll be tension under your fingertips. Hold it for 10 seconds. And I bet you around 6 or 7, it might fizzle. So try and grab it again for 8, 9, 10, and relax. Let's start with that. Those are really important key elements as far as understanding now how do we move in Pilates so that you're doing your pelvic positioning correctly, your neutral, your imprint, you know where your rib cage is relative to your hips. And now that we practiced our head nod, we know where our head is relative to our rib cage. We've found our pelvic floor muscles, and those are really important because You can go through all these motions, but if you're not breathing and engaging and lifting that pelvic floor, you're sort of bypassing that essential level of stability. So maybe a little different of a session today. I hope that I didn't go too nerdy on you, and that you understand that we've done a ton of workouts. There's a ton of material here that you could just go with. So it seemed like a great time as we're just sort of like in a, however many months we've been doing this, to keep working backward now and finding that fine tuning, the deeper understanding, getting to the next level of you being able to perform these exercises at the peak ability and engaging your muscles correctly to get the most benefit. So that was a lot of Allison talking. I hope that this was helpful. And I will see you guys again real soon, and we'll jump back into more traditional workouts. So thank you.